He loved the woods. And he said when he went into the woods, he felt so at peace with nature around him. I think he got that from my grandfather, because my grandfather would plant trees all around. All of these large trees we planted as kids with my grandfather. And my grandfather, before we were even born, had planted a row of trees, and he always was trying to put back to the earth what he took from the earth. And he encouraged us to do the same thing. And David was the same way. He would hate to see anybody destroy a tree just for the sake of destroying a tree. It had to have a purpose. And so
his purpose was canoe making and basket weaving, right?
Basket weaving, yes.
Well, there were 3 liquefied natural gas, LNG, proposals for terminals, export terminals in Passamaquoddy Bay. And my wife and I and many other people around the bay organized to prevent that from happening. Not necessarily because of the particular fuel, but it was just an inappropriate location.
I'm Becky Bardovics, and I am currently on the executive committee of Sierra Club Maine, which is a chapter of Sierra Club. And prior to that, I was the president of Penobscot Bay Alliance, which we were fighting along with Sierra Club and another group of people an application to put an LNG port in Sears Island in Penobscot Bay. And so what I know about this project up here in Eastport is, for starters, there was a plan by the governor, now our Senator Angus King, to develop Eastport and Searsport and Portland. It was called the 3-port strategy. And so I became aware of that as we were working on the Searsport project. And I came down here with Vivian Newman, who's a longtime Sierra Club activist, national activist, and met with Vera and Gilda. And David wasn't here at that point. He wasn't here that day, but we went over to Pleasant Point.
The first proposal at Pleasant Point would have put the entire residential population of the reservation within the federally defined hazard zone from an LNG vessel catastrophe. So the gas that could escape, if it didn't catch fire initially, could spread quite a distance and then could catch fire or potentially explode if it were within confinement, like a building or under a car, something like that.
David's experience, doing the work with the UN and all of his other work gave him a voice that was probably surprising to most of them. And it's why we invited him to come down to our first climate action conference right after the People's Climate March, because he came to talk about what the community had done and how they had put it together.
David was very helpful. He made a wonderful contribution in that he built a canoe and donated it to the cause, so that the money from the sale of the canoe, which amounted to around $15,000, if I remember correctly, went towards fighting the battle that we eventually won.
We donated. We donated our time whenever there was any place to go to. Somebody would drive or take care of all of that. We had community dinners Everybody contributed. So, I mean, it was a small scale, but David did the ultimate. You know, the canoe that...
That was the big contribution.
That was a big contribution. That's right.
Was when Vera, Francis, and David came with other expert people who knew about LNG and the problems with it, and they gave us like a whole day of discussion about the chemistry and the process and the structures that were necessary, and that was long before it came.
This year's
Yeah. I'd forgotten about that, but I don't remember the date.
That was at the...
David he was a lot more active than I was. And he went to all of the meetings. He even went to Louisiana to check out LNG plants that were in Louisiana. He traveled, and of course David loved traveling. But this man who was trying to sell us this idea offered to have people come to Louisiana and see how beautiful this operation was. And so David said, I'll go. So he went. And he explored all of the areas surrounding it, asking people about it, what they thought about it. And so someone asked him what he was doing, and he said, well, I'm just checking things out. And they want to build one of these near our reservation. And so this is one of the things that he did. And of course, every meeting that was held around Perry, Canada, Bangor, David always spoke. And David was an eloquent speaker, and he could get his point across, and he was never nasty. I had a tendency to be, and I got misquoted several times in the newspaper, but my temper was a little bit more
It was
than
passionate.
his. Yes. So, but he was always a gentleman. He treated everybody, even the man that we hated so much for trying to bring this in. He was always a gentleman. And I thought David was very effective whenever he spoke.
This way. What are you doing? This way. Come on.
Are you coming with us?
Yeah, I did. I walked. I came in.
I gotta pick up some hamburgers. I wanted them to be made into patties.
Pizza bite. Come on.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is G. Wayne Brooks. I'm from Sedansis, Beverton, New Brunswick. I'm here with my wife, my sister-in-law, and our friend Gaby. Moses, this is for him. My brother, my teacher, my friend. I met Moses quite a few years back along with Steve, and when we got the word that he got sick. We got in contact with him, and on his day of his passing and his service, we were going to come, but there was a big storm. We got held back because we had power outage in our community, and we couldn't make it. So I said, when the time comes for the memorial service at his home this summer, I'm going to be here to honor my brother and his family, his wife, and his sons. This is for Moses. Everything in this much bowl is sage, musk, birch bark, sweetgrass, cedar, ashes from split rock here, 7-day sacred fire. I think that was at the time of the LNG. Moses came and helped us build a canoe to celebrate 100 years in our community. The last canoe that was built, and that was in 2004. And I believe he paddled across to St. Andrews. And he came and he stayed with us even at that time. So like I say, I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to meet all of his friends who are gathered here today too. Moses was a great, wonderful man and a dad and a husband. And it shows with everybody here. And this is for you, especially for you and the boys. Because Moses is close to us all. We do this, we offer to the Creator, and we offer to Mother Earth. And we offered for Moses. Because we should never forget Moses. Always keep him in your heart and in your mind. And we never say goodbye to our passing of our friends. We always say, "Up, Judge, Mumio, need up. I'll see you again, my friend." Because one day we are going to make that journey to the spirit world too. And we'll meet up with him. And I know I have family members that are there, and I know Moses is with them too. So this is for the family and friends. And if anybody wants to come up and say a few words and say a prayer to our friend Moses, you can hold my eagle fan. So anybody?
I want to thank everybody for being here today. It's a testament of what an extraordinary individual Brother David was. And we all miss him very much. We continue to miss him every day. He comes to me in my dreams a couple of times a week. And he talks to me in that same old familiar way that Davey had. He was a man who was great with words, and he had a quick wit, and he always had a way of summing things up beautifully and succinctly, and he continues to do that for me. I feel his presence all the time, and I look forward to the day when we meet again.
Sometime in my lifetime, I really miss you.
I'm going to try to sing a song that was David's favorite song. It's in Spanish. I'm going to try. Okay. It's talk about open heart, and we used to sing it when we have a hard time. We used to sing this song. I sing this song to him. Several times after he had the diagnosis, and I try to do it, okay? And my sister's gonna help me.
No. No. But I really want to see my dad.
Ábrete corazón. Ábrete sentimiento. Ábrete corazón. Ábrete sentimiento. Ábrete entendimiento. Deja a un lado la razón y deja brillar el sol escondido en tu interior. Y deja brillar el sol escondido en tu interior. Ábrete memoria antigua, escondida en la tierra, en los cantos, en el agua. Es hora ya, es hora. Recuerda cómo el espíritu cura, cómo el amor sana. Ábrete, corazón.
You need dog with me. Oh. In the end of December, I got a phone call saying, can you help me out? From David. I have a bunch of tests that I have to get to, and I want to know if you can keep up with the Passamaquoddy, because I got a lot of stuff that I got to get done. And I think you, Kozak, might be just the one to help me do it and get it done, because I got plans. And I was down in Bar Harbor, he was up here in Passaic, and he came down. He was late. Like he's pretty much very often late, because he said he had to go kiss his honey and say goodbye to his boys and just dig this place. And I had made a curry, something soft and digestible, because he wasn't really eating very much. I was staying in this beautiful place taking care of a wolf dog, and I put him up on the second floor where in the morning the sun would rise and we'd look out over the ocean into the dawn. And I checked on him at 7 o'clock in the morning. He said, well, man, I slept good, because he was always positive, always absolutely positive. He's like, I slept 2 hours. That's good for me. And now we got to get going and get down to Portland. I think I can, he's like, I got to plan this, and then I'm going to cancel the dental appointment, and we're going to take care of this stuff. And I drove him. So we left the island and drove in his car in Waterville, and one of the tests was for an MRI, and he was supposed to be fasting. In Waterville, I buy a Red Bull, and he gets a bunch of candy. He's been eating candy. I still have, Necco wafers and stuff like that are left over from him. Doctor's like, no, you've eaten candy. The tests are canceled. Tests are canceled until tomorrow, because you have to be fasting at 9 o'clock.
So I was like, okay, Kozak, what are we going to do? We're going to go to South Portland. And he goes, let's go see our friend Manny. And we get to this cemetery, and he says stuff about pain, and it doesn't really, I have no idea how much pain, physical pain, he was suffering. And we get to the Calvary Cemetery in South Portland, where a friend is buried. And we call Andy, who's here, because ask him for directions because I'm driving over potholes. He's like, oh, wincing. And he's like, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, Moses. He's like, it's okay, Kozak, you're doing fine. You're getting me to where I need to go. And Calvary Cemetery, we come up to the tombstone. There are a bunch of guitar picks and pennies and dimes on it. And he pulls a bunch out of his pocket and says, okay, Kozak, pick one and lay one down. And I say, I want to close my eyes and pick one just to be surprised so I don't know what I'm doing. And I pick one and it's corroded, and he's like, oh. I'm like, oh no, man, it's corroded. I want to leave a clean one. He says, no, you've got too many flaws. You've got too many things. And just leave the corroded penny there. I'm like, okay.
David was, I'd say, family, a good friend. I miss him. He was one of the good guys. He was a leader in in raising the idea of social awareness, right? You know, in chemistry we call that a catalyst. You know, it takes one thing to get people going, and I think that he was one of those people. And I think that, you know, everybody has that within them. And if everyone just took a little bit, I think if we can learn from David, it's take that little bit, take that anger, whatever you call it, frustration, and find your issue and fight for it. You know, because guess what? I'm not going to be able to do it for you. I'm in the lab doing my thing. You know, you need people out there to take an issue, because they're not gonna get solved by themselves.
A message for the humanity, the new young people.
That's what you say?
A message?
A message? A message for the young people. The problems aren't going to solve themselves. Don't rely on science to do it. We're willing to work with you. Don't rely on your parents to do it. I mean, they'll support you, but you've got to go out there and do it yourself. You need to go out there and elevate. You know, you don't want to express misinformation, but go learn the issues, and then go out and fight for them. Call your friends, get together, and you know, like I said, power has always lied within the people to solve major problems. And you know, when the people learn that, that's when good things happen. So.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. This is a gift to David and his family of a boat with a driver. And I had given this piece of burl to David to carve a death face into. He didn't get to it, so I took it home, and I've had this on my dining room table since February, and it's haven't done a lot. So it was like how to decorate it, and how to make it into, how to accessorize it, I suppose. So the feathers came, and then I was thinking of like worms, that the way they can go up pieces of wood and carve little lines and shapes, and the fact that this is a death boat, and you've got worms in you, and it's eating away at you, and you're dying. So I thought it was a good way to process death, my friend's death, was to make something, and also to make a canoe and make a boat. This is a rudimentary canoe, but I'm also building a more actual stone birch bark canoe, and living with the things that he studied, the curves and the lines on the boats, for these last few months has been a wonderful way for me to embrace his going away. And so I make this a gift to Patricia and family, and in memory of David, and it is David.
And so Patricia does come in here. His mother comes in here. So I kind of had to sort through what we were talking about here, because they choose different things. And I pointed out one thing that I thought, I said, I've seen Patricia, kind of interested in this thing. And he walked over to another necklace, and he said, this is the one. I'll be back for that one. And he couldn't come back. But what a wonderful thing it was for us to know that's what he had chosen for her. And it's a glorious piece of beach pottery. What happens here is if pottery is thrown away, and sometimes it's been a shipwreck, sometimes it's whatever, there will be little pieces of pottery that come, and we have a wonderful silversmith here, Heather Perry, who had put that piece of pottery into silver. And it's wonderful white with three little blue groupings of flowers. And you could look at that and say, there's David and the two little boys. And so we were able to, it came so quickly then. And so Hilda said, why don't we just wait for a while? And so the last time Patricia was here, I was able to tell her that story and give her the gift. And her response was, David always knew what to give me for a gift.
For the Passamaquoddy people, he was extremely well respected by the elders for continuing the craft, the birch bark making craft, coming back to the land and respecting the land. I think that he got that across to so many people that you have to respect the land if you want to continue living on that land. And I think he instilled that in his children. I can see that even with young Sebastian. It's like, at times he'll say something and it sounds like David. And everybody, I guess he had such a really great personality. He touched so many lives. Everyone that met David, even the opposing lawyer, respected David and admired him. So, because when David passed away, the opposing lawyer sent me a beautiful note saying how much he respected David and how much he is going to be missed. And he hopes that the interest in our culture continues as he tried to do. Yes. It's probably the same as David's. Respect the land that you live on. Respect each other. Respect your elders. Most importantly, just respect. And respect yourself.
So yeah, my mentality has definitely changed since then. Again, I decided to join the Navy because I felt like I'm still young. I want to go out and do something that I had always had an interest in. And then once I'm done with this, and I kind of feel like I've fulfilled myself, if you will. If I do get that feeling from the Navy, who knows? But after that, then I will go and dedicate my spirit, if you will, to this to the process of preserving our traditional way of building canoes and baskets, and educating to the best that I can, and carrying on his legacy.
Y estaba la mayoría del tiempo con el tío Daryl construyendo cosas, haciendo los wiring, trabajando con cables, ayudando a mi abuela, haciendo almuerzo con ella, yendo donde mis tías, entregando información al pueblo, limpiando la terraza de mi abuela, yendo a jugar con mis amigos todos los días, yendo con el Natanas a la playa, tirando rocas y paseando por el path, yendo en bici y esas cosas divertidas. Todos esos 3 meses en Estados Unidos fueron algo muy diferente al COVID, porque en el COVID en Oruro era encerrarte, pero cuando llegué ahí No pensaba que estaba en un sueño porque no podía imaginar que estaba en ese auto volviendo a donde no fui hace tiempo. Y no recordaba nada porque tenía el COVID en mi mente. Llegué ahí y era un milagro que puedas estar sin barbijo, excepto la cuarentena, por 2 semanas. Entonces la pasé genial, era todo libre.
We never say goodbye to our class and of our friends. We always say, up, Judge, Mumio, need up. I'll see you again, my friend. Because one day we are going to make that journey to the spirit world too. And we'll meet up with him.